CES is like a wet fever dream for handheld gaming, with Lenovo announcing Steam on the new Legion Go S. But yes, somehow ASUS have still managed to win the day. Welcome back to 128KB News. This is your quick bit of gaming news where we catch up on the world of gaming this week in this short news-like video. And you've guessed it right by now, this video is not going to be short nor news-like because CES is more ram-packed than that giant lunch I had earlier. I don't know where I'm going with that. But let's jump into the first story this week coming straight out of CES, and that is that GeForce Now app will now be available on the Steam Deck. That's right, the NVIDIA GeForce Now app is now going to be natively available for Steam Deck users amongst other devices as well, including like the Meta Quests and the Apple Vision and all that madness VR stuff. I don't care for VR, I do care for the Steam Deck, and having the GeForce native app is exciting. Before we could, of course, use it, but it did involve lots of scripts and codes, and dullards like me, yes, the simpletons tend to avoid stuff like that because it scares me. Give me a native app, please, because I'm simple. And GeForce have done that. So we now have the GeForce Now app coming to Steam Deck, well, later this year. A great addition for all Steam Deck players. I'm sure you all agree. The thing I would love to see, though, is more games from the GeForce Now service, although there is some announcements around that coming out of CES too that we will see from Microsoft. They're really stepping up to the plate for this one. The new Avowed game that's coming later this year, and Doom Dark Ages, which will be releasing at some time in 2025. The GeForce Now app will allow the Steam Deck to connect to an external monitor and play it up to 4K 60. Wow, that's going to really add some kind of longevity to the Steam Decks now, which is aging hardware is starting to kind of show its age around the edges. This may add a bit of longevity for those people that want to take advantage of the NVIDIA app natively on your Steam Deck. And not to be left out of the conversation from CES, PlayStation, yes, Sony are there too, and they're there with their big announcements. That's right, you're going to have some more films. Whatever, not interested. If they could make some more games, that would be cool. But no, we don't get that either. What we do get is their constant march to being the most overpriced company in existence. They are quickly becoming the Apple of gaming in my mind. We now have an expansion to their massively overpriced accessories.
Yay!
Yes, the Midnight Black collection is here. It is a new colorway for all of the main PlayStation accessories. I will admit they do look pretty cool, but as you guys know by now, I'm a sucker for new shiny things, and especially when they're all murdered out and all black. I'm there for it. Does look cool, but yes, how overpriced can PlayStation make accessories? Well, very is the answer, and they seem to be sticking to their guns. How is the DualSense Edge controller, I ask you, £200? How is it the same price as a PlayStation Portal? That doesn't make much sense. Even less sense made is the wireless earbuds, which are also £200. And isn't that more expensive than Apple's earbuds? It's crazily overpriced, but I'm a sucker for new shiny things and I can't help but want it. So they got me. I'm going to buy it, probably, yes. And do you know what I'm going to do with it? I'll stick it on a shelf behind me and never bloody use it. Oh, and also we did see the irrelevance that is Atari entering the handheld market. The Game Station Go, a collaboration with My Arcade, is here. It's another handheld game device to enter the market. Obviously, it's going to be some kind of emulator. It has more control inputs than I've got words to describe it. You've got dials, you've got rotors, you've got a number pad. You even have shoulder buttons, which is an interesting addition for an Atari system. But yeah, it's there. But despite that, it's probably more relevant than what ACER did this week. ACER, straight out of CES, have announced and shown us the Nitro Blaze 8 and 11, which sits alongside the 7, which was also announced a little bit earlier. And I have to say, this is potentially a handheld that may just be dead on arrival to the market. I hate to be that negative and to bring the show down this much. Maybe you're into the Acer Nitro Blaze and you're watching this video, so let me know why I'm wrong down in the comments. But looking at what's on offer, it's hard to see how this is going to compete in a marketplace with the Asus ROG Ally X and the new Lenovo Legion. That's hard to say, isn't it? The new Lenovo Legion Go S and Go 2, which is coming soon. More on that in a little bit. And of course, Valve have already got in the market with the Steam Deck. It's hard to see how this can compete with performance and value on those two ends of the spectrums, but I'll tell you what they've announced anyway, and perhaps we can see some pictures of it on the screen. Andy, the beautiful editor that you know that also presents these videos, might put it in front of my face or something stupid knowing him. So we do have a 8.8 inch for the Lenovo for the Acer Nitro Blaze 8. That was almost a big mistake, wasn't it? We have an 11-inch screen version. Both have a 55 watt-hour battery. I'm not sure that that's going to be enough to power an 11-inch screen for more than 5 minutes. It will turn heads, certainly, but for the 5 minutes it's on, and then it will switch off because it doesn't have any battery life. 55 watt-hours in this day just seems way too lightweight, considering how much stick the Asus ROG Ally Z1 Extreme version got for its small battery life and how important the Ally X was as an update, bringing it up to that 80 watt hours, 55 watt hours with an 11-inch screen. That doesn't sound great to me. We do have 144 hertz display on the 7 and 8-inch versions, and it's down to 120 hertz on the 11-inch. It's using the 780M GPU, which to launch today, and the price points that they're asking for, again, that feels a bit lightweight. 16 gigabytes of LPDDR5X RAM, and of course we do have those Joy-Cons that detach and look a bit wobbly on the 11-inch version. I'm not sure about that either. I don't particularly like it on the Lenovo Legion Go. Don't think it's going to be a great addition here. It just feels a bit like a gimmick. I talked about this in the podcast with Andy. If you're not watching the podcast, you should be. But talked about it there when we talked about the Lenovo Legion Go. I'm not keen on the detachable Joy-Cons. I think they're just a gimmick. We're having a Q2 release anyway of the Nitro Blaze, the 8 and 11. And the 11 is coming in at, drumroll please, $1,100. $1,100, 780M GPU, 55 watt hour battery, 16 gigs of RAM. That's a hard sell, Acer, hard sell. This is why I feel like, and I fear for them as well, that this may just be a bit of a dead on arrival. Feels like they wanted to throw their hat into the ring of this handheld gaming space, and it feels like this has come perhaps 12 months too late for the price that they're asking. It's going to be a big year for PC handhelds. As we're talking about in this news video, it just seems to be they're all steaming into the market now. It feels like Acer may have kind of missed their ticket with this one, but only time will tell when it launches in Q2. And do let me know down in the comments if you're a fan of the Nitro Blaze or you intend on getting one. Now, when I was putting this news video together, I was writing the stories in order that they came out and then order of importance. I moved it around and I put this story as second to last because I didn't think it was going to be the most important story so far from CES and this week in the world of gaming. This is, of course, from ASUS, and we're talking about the new XG Mobile eGPU, which has blown our little minds. Now, I was holding the headlines for the Lenovo Legion Go S and Go 2, which we knew were coming this afternoon. Well, yesterday afternoon by the time you're watching this. But it seems to me, as I'm looking back, as I'm recording this video, that the ASUS may have just stolen the show altogether, and that the XG Mobile eGPU is absolutely a game changer for us that love handheld gaming. The XG Mobile is more than just a way to future-proof your Ally X if you've got one, or your Ally Z1 Extreme. This is how to make it on absolute steroids. This thing is spec'd out. It is going to be pricey, but it's absolutely, in our opinion, going to be totally worth it. Now, there's two variants that are going to be coming from ASUS with this. We have the 5070 Ti version and the 5090 version. That's going to be some serious performance. I don't know why I had to sing it like that. Beyond the actual GPU itself, the two variants that you can get, it's got more I/O than you can shake your stick at. It really is like the perfect breakout or dock for your Ally X, and just a way to future-proof your PC handheld in general. The fact that this is Thunderbolt 5 as well shows you how future-proof it is. It will work with Thunderbolt 4 and USB 4, but obviously if you want the maximum bandwidth of your connection, you're going to have to go for that Thunderbolt 5, and it shows us what ASUS are thinking is going to be next in their handhelds as well when we're looking at a replacement to the Ally X at some point in the future. But if you do have an Ally X now, or an Ally, or even any PC handheld that's going to have a Thunderbolt 4 connection, then you are able to, in a really simple, clean, elegant little footprint way, have a way of future-proofing it. We've done a lot of coverage of eGPU setups here on 128KB. Andy's gone through a whole big rigmarole, months of building this thing, and it was kind of a bit janky and a bit DIY, but he got together in the most elegant way possible. And all we were saying all along is, wouldn't it be great if there was an off-the-shelf external GPU that offered us the performance and the future-proofing that you could ever want without all of the kind of DIY-ness that you need, the kind of building heads you need, because I know there's a lot of console gamers and a lot of casual gamers that have stepped into PC handhelds now for the first time, and they want that. We see it in the comments, we see it in our Discord memberships as well, people asking for that, and ASUS have absolutely delivered that with this and knocked it squarely out of the park. So like I said, you've got Thunderbolt 5 on this with power delivery 3.1, which is up to 140 watts, mind-blowing. You've got the new Gen 5 gigabit Ethernet, which is up to 5,000 megabits per second, 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type A's, 1 UHS 2 SD card reader, which is interesting, which shows that this isn't just for gamers, that perhaps they're kind of aiming this at video creators as well. You've got one HDMI 2.1 port and a DisplayPort 2.1. 330 watts power supply built in, and they've kind of done some magic with the power supply using different types of components. Basically, I'm going to kind of make it a lightweight version for you, which has enabled them not just to keep this cooler, but to make the footprint much smaller than your typical eGPU that you would expect. They've brought the weight down to under a kilo, and its size is 20 centimeters by 15 centimeters. So basically the size of a small book. It's absolutely tiny. Like I say, it supports down to USB 3 and Thunderbolt 4, and the redesigned vapor chamber for cooling has been improved, so it's going to keep a lot cooler and eject hot air out in a much nicer way than the previous XG mobiles in the past. With that Thunderbolt 5, you can have up to 120 gigabits throughput, which means you can use 3 4K displays at 144 hertz simultaneously. What? I'm reading this off of ASUS's press release. That just is a bit of a mind. Imagine your ASUS hooked up to 3 4K monitors. Absolutely crazy. With support of up to the RTX 5090 laptop GPU, there's a maximum 24 gigabyte of GDDR7 VRAM. Honestly, that's going to turn your Ally X or whatever Windows handheld you have into an absolute desktop beast. You're going to be able to turn your gaming handheld into the ultimate hybrid console. You're going to get desktop performance of the latest gen RTX cards with a handheld device that you can literally pop in and pop out. That's amazing. None of this kind of janky DIY-ness of building your own external GPU and trying to get it right and trying to get your own Thunderbolt controllers and stuff to work. Straight off the shelf. This is obviously going to be dropping later this year. There's no word exactly on cost yet, but I can imagine if you're going for the RTX 5090 version, it's going to be obviously over 2,000 because the card itself is 1,999, so that's going to be expensive, but it's probably going to be worth it. If you've got your handheld set up now and you want to future-proof it, you want to turn it into an ultimate desktop performance powerhouse gaming machine and have years and years of enjoyment from it, then this is an amazing investment. It's so exciting to see it. For us handheld gamers, for us people that want that hybrid experience, you want that PC performance, but that kind of, dare I say it, Nintendo Switch ease of use, then ASUS have just provided it. And I feel like they've absolutely won the announcements from CES so far, for the handheld gaming space at least. And that is despite the massive news that's coming next from the Lenovo camp in the Lenovo Legion Go S. So yes, it's here. All the rumours that we talked about earlier on this channel. We even did a whole podcast episode on what this year in gaming handhelds is going to be. And we talked about the Lenovo Legion Go S and the potential of it having Steam OS and beating ASUS to the market. They were absolutely right. We now have it confirmed. We've seen it. It's here. The Lenovo Legion Go S, the first handheld not made by Valve to be powered by Steam OS. Amazing. This is a kind of watershed moment, a landmark, an exciting time to be in gaming. Lenovo have announced, well, they actually announced 3. I was going to say 2. They announced 3, and it gets confusing. So sit tight, strap in, and bear with me because it's a long one. There's 3 handhelds announced by Lenovo. We've got 2 variants of the Lenovo Legion Go S, and they showed the prototype for the Go 2 as well. I'll come to the Go 2 at the end. Start with the Go S. The 2 variants are Steam OS and Windows OS. Now, the Windows OS one comes out first, Windows 11. That's going to be, pre-orders are available now in January, so you'll be able to get it very soon. The Steam OS version is coming in May. Both can have the same specs, but there's lots of variations within that as well. Lenovo have done, I'm going to be honest, a pretty poor job at communicating every spec and variation that's available. It's a little bit confusing. I think they probably should have taken a leaf out of Valve's book and made kind of one version of each, one spec version, just to make it easy to follow. This is what it is, and this is the price. I'll go and I'll buy it, and I know what I'm getting. But anyway, they haven't. So let me go through what they've got. The Go S is going to have an 8-inch 1920 by 1200, so a 16 by 10 ratio display. It's 120 hertz VRR. That's amazing to see. We know we love the VRR display on the ASUS ROG Ally X, and so to see it here as well is great. Like I said, SteamOS or Windows 11. It has the 2240 SSD included, but you can upgrade that yourself. It's very easy to upgrade yourself to the 2280 NVMe drives. So that's good to see that you can do that. You've got the Ryzen Z2 Go chip as one of the options, and that is exclusive to Lenovo, I believe. Or you can have the Z1 Extreme version. Go for the Z1 Extreme version. It's better on paper. Up to 32 gigabyte of RAM, a 55.5 watt hour battery. I have to say, that's disappointing. I said it before, said it when I was kind of taking shots at ACER for the Nitro Blaze. A 55 watt hour battery today is just not enough. Sure, it's going to be better than it is on the ACER one with that 11-inch screen, but 55 watt hours, when you compare it to what ASUS are offering with 80 watt hours, it's just not enough. It needs to be bigger than that. So that's disappointing to see. If you're always gaming next to your power socket, then you don't have a problem with it. That's fine. But if you are taking this out and about like it's designed to be, I don't think 55 watt hours is going to cut it. But anyway, you do have Hall effect sticks on it, which is awesome to see. An absolutely tiny, tiny weenie. A tiny touchpad on the right hand side, 2 USB 4s on the top, and trigger stoppers as well, which is cool to see. The Steam OS one comes in black and looks a lot like a Steam Deck when you're using it. The Windows one only comes in white. Now, the pricing of the Go S is a little unclear. It's almost as unclear as the specs variations are confusing with this. The Windows 11 version is launching in January, and some press releases say it's $730, some don't. It's unclear, and I'll come to this in a second. May we have to wait for the Steam OS one, and that's starting from $499. Although on the Lenovo site, literally just before I started recording this video, you can pre-order the Windows 11 version with 16 gigs of RAM and the Z2 Go processor for £600. So that suggests to me that's the baseline model available with Windows 11, and you can get it for $600. So who knows? We'll become clear, I'm sure, as these variants come out and are available to order. But right now in the UK, it looks like it's actually starting from £600, which is quite expensive for what we're getting here. I've said it a few times, it's just confusing. It feels like almost Lenovo had some good ideas, a bunch of good ideas, and they decided to just do them all. Let's try and cater for everyone with this thing. When I think, in truth, the real win of the Steam Deck and why that was so successful to such a broad base of players is that it was so simple to understand. I'm buying the Steam Deck. It's this version. It's got this size storage on it. It's very easy for us console gamers to get that. We don't want to necessarily dig into the weeds on what processor, what's the APU going on inside. We don't do that from the console space. So it appealed to a broader base, and it was simple to understand that I'm just going and buying this device. What Lenovo have done here is literally the complete opposite, with different variations, different processors, different RAM configurations, different storage configurations, different operating systems. They should have just had a Windows 11 one and a SteamOS one and stuck with it. This is what you're getting. And it would have been much easier to understand. But maybe you're wrong. Maybe choice is what we all want. But I think if you're going to appeal to broader than just PC gamers with this, you're probably offering too much choice, if that's possible. But also, in this announcement, just to add further confusion, but also to add a little bit of excitement as well, they announced the Lenovo Legion Go 2. They showed us the prototype of it. This is basically the big brother of the Go S. It's not out yet. We don't have a date for it yet, but we have seen the prototypes. It's pretty exciting, if I'm honest. It's exciting to see it. There's one specific thing in here that is an announcement from Lenovo that I can't figure out if it's a mistake, a typo, or just something they've overlooked, or maybe they've done some absolute engineering wizardry and have solved a problem that has plagued us all in gaming for a long time. And I'm talking about the display here. I'll jump straight into it. We have a bigger 8.8-inch screen on this, 144 Hz with VRR. That's really cool. But in their press release, they're talking about an OLED panel. Now, I can't decide if their press release has got it wrong, that they perhaps have made a mistake, perhaps they're overlooking the issues, or perhaps they've solved the issues of VRR flicker on OLED panels. It's something we've talked about in quite a bit of detail here on this channel, but some of the more kind of technical channels have really dug deep on this, and it's a real common problem of all OLED panels and using VRR technology where you get flicker in the high contrast and the darks and the blacks. Now, perhaps they're just not worried about that and this is going to flicker like hell, or perhaps they fixed it and found some workaround. Either way, I'm excited to see. I love OLED panels. We all love OLED panels. The Steam Deck OLED was an absolute thing of beauty. I also love VRR as a technology. On the ROG Ally X, it is phenomenal. If you could have both and they can fix the flicker problems, this is genuinely really exciting. But we're just going to have to wait and see what happens here. We still have the 32 gigabytes of RAM, but it is slightly faster than what we have in the Go S at 7,500 megahertz. The big deal really with the Go 2 from Lenovo is the inclusion of the new AMD Z2 Extreme processor with its integrated 780M GPU. That's an actual genuine upgrade. Finally, we're seeing the next generation finally hitting us in the handheld space. And it's going to be really exciting to see what other manufacturers do with this processor as well. Battery life is also given a significant bump up, all the way up to 74 watt hours. Hurrah! Which is up from what I was talking about earlier, the 55.5 watt hours that we had with the Go S. You need to be at that size battery now for handhelds. You just have to be. We saw with ASUS got the 80 watt hours, so 74 watt hours with the Lenovo Legion Go 2 is really great to see. It is what you need, especially when you're going to be pushing it that much harder with that better processor, and that 144 Hz OLED screen is going to be very power hungry, so you're going to need that bigger battery life. But it's just been an absolute huge week of news from CES, and mainly focused on handheld gaming space. It's so exciting for us to see, so much to digest, and we're only halfway through. There still could be more news yet coming from there. We heard rumors before about that maybe there's going to be more noise from Valve, maybe hearing a little bit more from Microsoft and their intentions in the handheld space, maybe about operating systems, maybe we're going to hear more rumors about an Xbox handheld. Who knows? And of course, the Nintendo Switch 2 is still not here. It's the story that doesn't go away. It always disappoints. There's been 1,001 leaks. I'm actually tired of covering them. At some point, I'm going to do a roundup, I'm sure, for you. But right now, I'm going to go and leave you. I'd love to know what you guys think down in the comments down below. Whilst you're down there, digging around, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, because, you know, we need your validation here at 128KB, and perhaps watch another video from us here, perhaps me and Andy talking about all things gaming in the podcast. It's going to be kind of pushed up just above my face there. Yeah, lovely. Lovely. So until the next time, I'll see you next time. I think I'm alive.